how do we say Hare Krishna, or should we say, like I have learnt it all the time, and it always just aligns me when I say Govinda Jivida Sparadam Govinda Govinda. That's how it is, and thank you so much, and that's how we would like to see the world smiling, with lots of positivity, lots of positive energy, and so that we can all connect with each other as individuals, as humans. And I'm in some very august company in this session on the occasion of Janmashtami. Greetings to everyone, and to be able to speak to Madhu Pandit Dasa ji, who's also the chairperson of ISKCON-Bangalore, founder of Akshaya Patra, Chanchalapathi Dasa, Mohandas and Bishow, Parajuli, who's doing some fantastic work with the United Nations World Food Program. This is going to be a mission, I think, which is close to all of us. And that's the reason why I think there is a lot of heart in it, and soul in this effort, not just the application of the mind, because all of us want that no one should go hungry, and that's the mission, isn't it? Madhu Pandit Dasaji, this is something which I've always wanted to ask you. What is an IIT person doing in the guise of a monk? And how did this entire journey of Akshaya Patra start?
Yes, all by the grace of Lord Krishna, I was pulled into this movement when I read the books of the illustrious founder Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, presenting Krishna as as presented in the Vedas, as the conscious supreme entity, irrespective of any particular association with particular religion, etc. But Krishna as Sarvaloka Maheshwara, as the proprietor of the entire universe. And that attracted me a lot. As a matter of fact, just like I am a fact, you are a fact sitting there. Similarly, Krishna is a fact. So that impressed me a lot. And then that's how I thought. After that, after reading Bhagavad Gita, I thought that the best thing I can do in my life is to spread this message, and this message included, expressing compassion, kindness to to every living entity as our own brothers and sisters. So this is the whole, is a combination of service to the Lord and service to His own children. They're all His children. So there was no greater pleasure for me, Ananda for me, than taking this path. That's how I came into this Krishna consciousness movement.
Wow,
as far as Akshaya Patra is concerned, yes. I joined at the age of 23 in 1981. Then in 1999, there was an opportunity for us to, Prabhupada Bhaktivedanta Swami always, said that you should distribute prasadam, sanctified food, pure food. You should distribute to everybody. So that was the, standing order of Prabhupada to distribute food to everybody who comes to the temple. But then this program, this particular Akshaya Patra, one day Mohandas came to my office, and the first time we were meeting, and he prompted me, Swamiji, I see you are distributing to so many people here who are coming to the temple, but nearby schools, can you distribute there or there? Why don't you extend your program by going out? So yes, I said, yes, I can do it, provided, I get the support. And then I said to her, what, I have a kitchen, you give me a vehicle. So he immediately said, okay, done, I give you a vehicle. What vehicle you want? I said, I want Leyland big lorry. Then he said, that done, how much it costs? I said, it's approximately this much. Done, he said. Then he left. After he left, I did a calculation. What was the calculation I did? Hey, this is a 12-tonner vehicle. Now I said, you give me vehicle, I'll feed. So 12 tons, my God, 12 tons. In 10 days, the cost of that is more than the vehicle. So then I realized this is Krishna trapping us.
Yes.
So we started building the body, and then we started. That's how started with 1,500 children. in a very short time, within a month's time, the word spread around from this 1,500 children and the schools, 5 schools. Word spread around, and I had on my table letters demanding, requesting almost 1 lakh children to be fed.
Wow.
And the file was, this many letters from so many schools. I said, I can't take this decision. Once you start feeding, you cannot stop.
Yeah.
So how can I start this? I cannot start this. I said, okay, fine, maximum up to 5,000 is good enough. Like that, I was thinking, keeping the file there. Every day the file was staring at me. And one fine day, one of my colleague devotees in the temple came and showed me one anecdote of Srila Prabhupada. And that anecdote was like this. One day Prabhupada was looking out of his window, and a sunny afternoon, after a lot of guests were invited in Mayapur, and after a feast, afternoon feast, he looked out of the window, he heard some noises, he looked out of the window, he saw some the village urchins and the dogs were fighting with each other. And Prabhupada, for what? They're fighting with each other for leftover from the banana leaves, which was thrown there outside. So Prabhupada had tears in his eyes. He called all his leaders and he said, no one within 10-mile radius of any ISKCON temple should go hungry. So you feed. And then further, he told that wherever possible, let no one go hungry. Feed and feed and feed and feed. The devotees asked Prabhupada, what about money? He said, don't worry, Krishna will give. Go on feeding, Krishna will give. So when I read this anecdote, I said, how foolish I am. Krishna tracked me with a lorry, with a big truck, and then I started 5,000 feeding, and now here a big file of demand for 1 lakh kids. I said, I don't care anything where the money will come from. Let us start. I wrote back to all the schools. Within 2-3 months, we will start feeding. That's how it just began as a matter of faith in Lord Krishna that resources will come. Mind you, that day there was no government program. There was no government program. Entire money had to be collected.
True. No, I remember, because that's how Krishna is, isn't it? That Draupadi just wrapped a small piece of her Angavastra around his finger so that he could stop his bleeding. But he responded and he paid her back with reams and reams and endless reams of cloth that would protect her dignity. So that is how Krishna is. He asks you to give something, but then he also gives it back in measures so that you can go ahead and do good, as long as the intent is to do good. I always carry this lesson from the Bhagavad Gita with me, which says, Karmane vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. That means you do your karma. Don't worry about the phala. It will happen. And that gets in modern day Mohandas Paiji in 3 Idiots, where they say, you kamyab nahi kabil bano. Look at enforcing yourself with ability. Go ahead and do things and pursue knowledge. The fruits will come on their own. So from the Bhagavad Gita to the Srimad Bhagavad Gita to 3 Idiots, the lessons of life are very, very simple. But let me ask you this: who thought about the name Akshaya Patra?
I think that story let Chanchalapathi tell us. I think it's interesting.
I was saving some other questions for Chanchal, but go ahead, please.
Yeah, the story Akshaya Patra that comes from the Mahabharata, and that Draupadi had a pot from which she could draw unlimited food as long as she has not had her food of the day. And Duryodhana, who was trying to have some wicked plans to land Pandavas in trouble, he organized one very angry sage, Durvasa, to come with 1,000 disciples at a time. At that time, the Pandavas were in the exile, and Durvasa and his disciples came and met Pandavas and came and met Draupadi and asked, all of us have to be fed, and they timed it in such a way, for that particular day, she had already completed her meal and the pot would not produce any more meal. So that was the situation. And now Pandavas were very, very disturbed and worried. what will happen. And Durvasa is celebrated in the Puranas for his wrath and cursing. What's going to happen? And so the Durvasa and the disciples said that we will go have our bath in the river and come back. We hope that the meal will be ready for 1,000 people. And so she was so worried, and she was praying to Krishna. And Krishna came and said, bring the pot. Let's see if there is any grain left over. And in the pot, there was 1 grain of rice. And Draupadi very lovingly, devotionally presented that 1 grain of rice. And Krishna took that, and happily, because Draupadi was giving with so much devotion, and when he had that grain of rice, he felt fully satisfied. And the principle is, Yasmin tushte jagat tushtam. This is a statement in the Upanishads. If you please Krishna, if Krishna is satisfied, the world is satisfied. So Krishna felt very satisfied here, having that grain of rice. And there at the river, Durvasa and his disciples who were having a bath, suddenly they came out of their bath, finished their bath, and suddenly felt all their stomachs so full. And they were very worried that if we go back to the Pandavas, how will we accept their hospitality? We will be so embarrassed. So they decided not to come, and they went away. So this is the story of the Akshaya Patra, which Draupadi had. The important principle, Anand, in this is the power of pleasing God.
Yep.
When God is pleased, the world, the universe will be pleased. So it's a very powerful principle. And so when we work, when we think, when we act for pleasing God, it pleases the world. And if you permit me for another 2-3 minutes, I will tell you another verse. A famous verse in the Upanishads, Purnamadha Purnamidam, Purnat Purnamudachyate, Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate. This is a very famous verse in the Upanishads. It talks about that the source is Purna, and from Purna, this world Purna has come. Purnat Purnamudachyate. And although this Purna world has come from that Purna source, that Purnameva avashishyate, remains complete. So this is a very puzzling verse. Someone may say that Purna source is Purna, and this world is Purna, the Upanishad says. But we see that there is so much. Purna means, complete and perfect. So we say that this world is not complete. It is not perfect. Somebody may say there is so much hunger, there is so much starvation, there is so many difficult things in this world. Why is it considered to be Purna? Acharyas have written commentaries on this verse, and Srila Prabhupada writes in English, all kinds of incompleteness is perceived and experienced in this world because of incomplete understanding and appreciation of the complete plan of the complete whole. So, I don't know if it sounds like a play of words. It's just that Purna, Krishna, he has a complete plan. But we don't have an understanding of that one. And we try to figure out our own with our human little intelligence. If we align ourselves with God's plan for organizing this world, we will experience completeness in this world. So this is the message of the Akshaya Patra, the power of pleasing God, aligning ourselves with God.
True, and along with the philosophy
Swamiji,
there.
Who gave the name? Please tell
Who gave the name?
There's a story about the name. Who gave the name?
Yeah.
Okay, when we were contemplating this food program, we were actually toying with various names, unlimited food, various things like that. And then at that time, Dr. Murli Manohar Joshi, was the MHRD minister, and he would visit Bangalore now and then to attend to his official duties. And Mohan had another close friend of his from school days, Abhay, and who is also one of our trustees of Akshaya Patra. Mohan and Abhay took us to Dr. Murli Manohar Joshi. And then Madhu Panditji was explaining to Dr. Joshi this plan. And then he said, you should call this program Akshaya Patra. And then Madhu Panditji came back to the temple and he told me and a few others that this is the name. And then we all thought over and he said, it's a wonderful name. It really embodies the, our aspirations and aspirations of our founder, Srila Prabhupada, that we should feed more and more. There should not be any hungry person in this world, and God will provide for everyone. So it embodies that spirit. So we decided to use that word for this program.
Fantastic. That was the little nugget of information I was trying to pry out of you.
Yeah.
Because Mohandas Pai, we celebrate the day when Krishna said that particular day, at that particular moment, the entire universe will be satiated with one grain of rice. But there are two learnings for me from there. One is that if someone like Krishna, who embodies all of the cosmic energies and represents the entire universal system for us as God and as the person who's the creator, destroyer, and of course preserver, all combined into one. If one grain of rice could satiate that person, why can't we learn to eat as much as we need rather than filling our plates? And secondly, a day which is supposed to be talking about trupti and making sure that you are able to be happy with very little is today celebrated as Akshaya Tritiya, where people go to purchase gold rather than deciding to feed the poor or feed the needy. You see, somewhere the message is lost, Mohandas Pai, and that consciousness also needs to come back.
Well, it is all because a human being is a very imperfect person. Is imperfect, and the perfection only comes if we read the Gita or if we read the sayings of great saints of any religion that he or she follows. Right. So it is very important for us to understand that life is a journey to get enlightenment. Life is a journey to get knowledge, and that knowledge should come to us. And the knowledge, like Swamiji told us, that the world is created by God. Whoever that God is, we should not debate that. Let's not debate that. The world is created by God. And God has made sure the planet has enough for everybody. There is enough food for everybody. The world doesn't lack food. In fact, Amartya Sen wrote long ago that every time India had famine and Indians died, there's enough food for India, and India exported food. The only problem was people were deprived of food because they had no purchasing power. So I think it's a very important thing for us to understand. So if we get the realization, the self-realization that we must live a life of compassion, we must not be acquisitive. We must create wealth and distribute the wealth. And the real wealth that you can create is the happiness in society where every human being gets the necessities of life. And since we as human beings are organized in a society, we have to make sure that everybody has food on the table. So the world has enough food. There is no scarcity for the world. India has enough food. There's no scarcity. There is no scarcity of food in our society. What we need is the compassion for many of us to say, if we have more, we will share with everybody, so there is no hunger at all. Because hunger is unacceptable in any civilized society. It's unacceptable. Yeah. So this acquisitive streak that we have, which we demonstrate, is because of the imperfection and the longing for power, the longing to acquire and to get more and more, to show off our wealth, not knowing that wealth is not given to everybody, it's given to you, just you can use it for the common good of humanity. I think that realization has to come when we listen to the great Swamijis like Madhu Pandit, Chanchalapathi, Srila Prabhupada, everybody else who come and tell us that is the reason of your existence in this society.
Well, it's not just teaching, it's also about doing. It's also about a task that they have taken up and then they want to do. And this entire concept of the Akshaya Patra, Mr. Bishop Parajuli, if I could come to you, is that the Akshaya Patra itself says that unless you empty me, how am I going to be full again? So unless you give, how are you going to get more? Unless you ensure that everybody is fed, how is the plate going to be full again? So it's a concept which we have to practice in our real life. And sadly but truly, the numbers show that we waste more than 1/3 of the food that we produce. Either it falls on the plate but doesn't go into the belly, or it never comes to the home or to the plate itself because it's wasted on the route. Now, these are issues which can be addressed because that food can also feed at least 1/3 of the world which goes hungry.
Thank you. Thank you very much. In fact, the whole foundation of the establishment of the World Food Program, in a way, is very much linked with the same philosophy that nobody should go hungry, and the world has too many hungry people. What can we do? So the World Food Program was established in 1963 by several countries joining together to say that world has enough food. And our countries have enough food, but there are many countries where there is a high level of hunger. So why don't we bring this element of surplus to help others who are hungry? And that's how the process began. And they also not only looked into that, just addressing immediate food need and hunger, but they also moved a step further to say that how do you create a sustainable solution to this hunger? How do we help these communities and societies and countries to produce their own food and help them, develop their own food system and mechanism to contribute to that, and making an ambition and joining countries and nations together to say that by 2030 we will achieve zero hunger. And that's the goal the United Nations World Food Program has taken. Sadly, situations like the COVID-19 calamity, natural calamities like drought, war, conflicts, pushes back. Lots of suffering because of conflict and displacement of people. Job loss by situations like these, increase in poverty. So we estimate currently nearly 690 million people globally don't have enough to eat and go hungry. Since last 4 years, every year 10 million more people are increasing in terms of hunger. So this is unacceptable. And that's why I really adore and love this element of discussion. And I'm here for last 1 year, and I'm really happy to see great effort in India in terms of addressing this. Apart from
Mr. Parajuli, sorry, I just wanted to let's talk towards the numbers and the goals ahead, and I want to start back with you because you were talking about you were here for the last 1 year. I know you were in Zimbabwe before that, and you've worked in Myanmar. You've seen multiple corners of the world where you've had to deal with this issue of food security, hunger, and more importantly, malnourishment. How do you see the world responding to this challenge? Because the numbers also show that more people die because of hunger than they would actually die because of a pandemic like COVID-19. The consciousness that a COVID-19 has got with society across the world, why is that not there with hunger? Because it's possible for the able to feed the unable every day, to give 1 square meal to a person who requires it. If 690 million people can be fed by the rest of the 5.4 billion people, we can do it. Why is that consciousness not there? Let me start with you. Yeah.
There is increasing consciousness. Now, food is considered the basic right, and it's a basic need for the humanity. So ensuring a plate of food and minimum requirement of nutrition and a healthy meal is everybody's right. Sadly, as I said before, there are various elements of challenges. In some countries, there is lack of availability. People don't have it. There are in other countries where the people don't have the opportunities and the livelihood to have the purchasing power to have that meal. In some other countries, unfortunately, people are displaced, war, conflicts. In other countries, there are concerns of drought and natural calamities, cyclone, floods. As a result, people lose all their crops. There are challenges. Unfortunately, in some countries, the lack of commitment of the governments are also missing. As a result, there is not much resource put on to support these needy population with food support. I mean, the example which I was just about to give in India, the investment India is making in providing meals to 800 million people, this 5 kilo per person per month, and then you have this 120 million children given a school meal every day, and then another 100 million children are provided with the supplementary food, etc. These are fantastic steps. Of course, there are challenges given the scale and size of the country, and improvement needed to make sure that these food reaches to the right people and in the right quantities and a combination, not only cereals, but also protein, vitamins, in addition to the calories, and so diversity. So I think there is commitment among nations, and there are less commitment among some nations, and there are other natural and man-made situations which is unfortunately resulting in this rising hunger. Millions you feed, bless you. During the COVID, you made a fantastic effort. I was following very closely. There were like 16 million meals being distributed during this lockdown period. So I think this is fantastic humanity, and I believe the point we raised before, as Lord Krishna says, that element of commitment, that element of inspiration is really important. You know, my first job 40 years back or 35 years back was in Botswana. I was involved in a school feeding program. We had a 250,000 children fed in 230, 40 schools across Botswana. And so it was so fantastic to watch these during the midday, children to have that meal. So I have a big salute for all these efforts on the school meal program and food support Akshaya Patra is doing.
Well, Mr. Parajuli, let's take that forward, because you have to have bhava, karuna, kartavya, and artha. So all of these aspects have to come together for us to be able to do and commit ourselves. And this is a day in, day out, and a continuous challenge. And before I go to the Swamijis, I want to go across to Mohandas Pai and understand this: the midday meal, feeding children in school. It's a big challenge, because it's not just providing food; it's also providing nourishment. So hunger and malnourishment go hand to hand. What has Akshaya Patra been able to achieve, and where do you think the goals lie? Before I go across to Madhu, Pandit, Dasa ji and Chanchalapathi ji for the work that Akshaya Patra per se is doing, I'm asking you as an educator, as somebody who's worked closely, and also somebody who's driving the vision.
You know, Akshaya Patra is an unbelievable program because two different set of people are come together. The Swamijis from ISKCON and civilians like us. The Swamijis from ISKCON bring their power of management, their ability to feed large numbers, their devotion to duty, their quality approach, etc., which I don't think any civilians could have done in such a scale, consistently for 20 years. Just imagine, you have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and cook the food and deliver on time and do it day in and day out with the right quality, with the same devotion. And it's not an easy job. It's been done only because of them. I don't think any other organization could have been done. I don't think you could have hired people to do that on a continuous basis. For a very simple reason, it has to be a calling. Programs like this have to be a calling. It's like the missionaries who run schools. It has to be a calling. They're very special people because they feel in discharging their calling, they are doing something wonderful, which is their vocation. They're fulfilling their objective in life. I think that's a very important thing to do. So what Akshaya Patra does is they make sure that the meal they give is healthy and nourishing. It meets all your dietary requirements. They have a diet every single day. They plan for it, and they give you an all-round meal. It's an unlimited meal, cooked very well to hygienic standards, almost untouched by the human hand throughout, highly mechanized, etc. And they won all the big quality awards that are available in India and maybe globally, which beating other companies who do it for a business. So I think it's been extraordinary. And let me tell you, the scale and everything has been reached only because they were the Swami Madhu Pandit, they were the Swami Chanchalapathi Dasa. And I must give them full credit for the simple reason. Swami Madhu Pandit comes from IIT Mumbai. He is a M.Tech. And Swamiji Chanchalapathi comes from the Indian science. They study science. They know STEM. And they know management. They know design. They know operational research. They know theory. They know quality. And they've done it. And all of us have helped them to connect to people, to get things done and to discuss and debate. It's been a long thing. And just look at it today. It is a national calamity in this country. Akshaya Patra within 48 hours can go to any place, set up a kitchen to feed 100,000 people 3 times a day. Can anybody do it? No. And Akshaya Patra has done it. During COVID, they have given more than 65, 70 million meals. 70 million meals. They could have given 200 million meals. They could have given 50 million meals a day. If the money was there, if there's a need. Then they have done it. You know, in all the villages, you know, when we went there, we found that children are not staying together because they come from different social groups. But in our schools, we told them they have to be together. They're all together. And the teachers serve them. And the teachers eat after serving them. The teachers also eat the same food because the food is so good. It's the food that President of India ate. It's the food that our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ate. It's the food that Narayan Murthy ate. It's the food that Vasundhara Raje ate. It's the food that everybody eats. It's the same food you and I eat. We have fed more than 3.5 billion meals today. 3.5 billion meals. It's not easy.
Wow.
And let me tell you one more thing. It's only because of Lord Krishna's blessings. And we always pray to God. Our daily prayers in Akshaya Patra is, give us the strength so we can feed everybody on this planet. Give us the strength so that no child goes hungry to bed. Give us the strength so we can feed all the children in need so they can realize their dream. And we only pray for the strength.
The thought that I had when you were saying it so passionately is that I just want to appeal to everybody who's going to be watching this webcast, maybe in deference or who are joining us live at this point. Please contribute to the Akshaya Patra. There are people who have got a lot of commitment towards serving the people. They just need a little bit of help. And perhaps we are one of the mediums that Krishna is going to use to help this cause of the Akshaya Patra. And this is my humble appeal. You need to do it. You don't need to make a big song and dance of it. You can just do it quietly and with the assurance that the benefit would reach the people who actually need it. Now, Chanchalapathi ji and Madhu Pandit Dasa ji, I'm going to come across to you, Swamiji, and ask you this. And Madhu Pandit Dasa ji, allow me to start with you, please. I know you've engineered and you've used your engineering abilities and the knowledge that you gained as a student and those learnings towards trying to design and put into place a structure that will work. But this has also been challenging. How did you keep yourself motivated? And what have you set yourself as the goal going forward? Is there a vision that you have set for yourself? I know, but I'd like you to state it. And how do you think you're going to get there?
Through this process of after associating with Krishna consciousness, setting vision, I can't any longer set any vision in terms of numbers. I would say no one should go hungry in this world. That's the vision. Does not matter, how long it takes. It need not necessarily even happen through ourselves, but we can inspire others and we can trigger the compassion in the hearts of thousands of leaders in this world who can, as Bishow said, we can, we need to there are a lot of work, lot of people, 192 countries have come together and they're thinking good of the world, and we need a consciousness change. This is very important. This world has enough of management techniques, enough of technology. Everything is plenty, and still we are seeing food is available also, but it's still not reaching the people. So what is the reason? As you rightly said, motivation. So we have to motivate more and more leaders. Like Bishow said, many countries are not taking interest. They should take interest. India has done wonderfully. You know, especially one of the greatest thing that has happened in this country is this midday meal since year 2000. And this has attracted the greatest blessing. You see, you believe in law of karma. Annadhana is Shreshthadana. Whether I do or country does. If a country does Annadhana, the country will get good karma. Country will prosper. And we are seeing that. We are prospering. That's a proof of Akshaya Patra. Just see. 1,500 children we started and it's multiplied. First time when the press came to me after setting up the first kitchen, I told 30,000 we are going to feed. And then I could not sleep that night because next day in newspaper all flash, ISKCON temple is going to feed 30,000 children. I said, my God, how did I say 30,000? My God, I guess, spur of the moment I said 30,000. And so I could not sleep 2 days for that, where the money will come from. But then next day third day when I went before the deities, I saw Radharani. I said, you are the universal mother, you will feed, why should I bother? So I put all the burden on her and just being an instrument, and miracles are happening. There are a lot of people who are retired in this country from the military and everything, and they say after retirement, I do not know what to do in my life. You organize them and tell them, come on, go feed the country. And this is a process. We will give you the template of a kitchen. We will tell you how to do it. We will connect you to the market. We will connect you to suppliers. We will connect you to technology, everything. Do it and take satisfaction from feeding, from seeing the joy of others' joy. See, this is a greater joy.
Very rightly said, money in the pocket is a feast for the eyes and perhaps a little bit of a trigger for the mind. But
Yes.
Food in somebody's belly, and when you serve somebody food, is actually joy to the soul. It actually feeds your soul. It feeds your atma.
Anand, think of this. Anand, think of this. If you are a billionaire, what will make you more happy? $1 billion in the bank, or 1 billion people you help who are smiling?
Sir, I tell you what, if I ensure, as a billionaire, if I ensure 1 billion people smiling, I will have more than $1 billion in the bank. That is the reality. That is the reality. Before I go to Chanchalapathi ji, Bishow ji wanted to share something. So I'm just going to bring him back in and then I'll come to you, Chanchalapathi ji. I have a few questions coming your way. You please be ready. Chandrasekhar ji, if I may say. But yeah, go ahead, Bishow ji.
Thank you so much. I wanted to share this example I had related to what Pandit was just saying. I was in Yemen and I saw that the element of hunger so much there. And I made an ambition or a plan or a proposal to have 1 million children fed. And I developed a program and we worked around it with partners. In fact, the moment the program was done, one kind, generous donor came back with $35 million to help start that.
Wow.
So I think the most important thing here is sincerity, commitment, and working towards that goal. So just leaders have to come, ideas have to come, and they're all there. And so I just wanted to share that. In years of my experience, many countries, this is what I have seen. You saw the path, you move forward. This invisible power is telling you, you have to move forward and help. Don't let this humanity suffer. So it's there. Thank you.
No, very well said. I know there's a couplet in Hindi कि कौन कहता है कि आसमान में छेद नहीं हो सकता, तबीयत से पत्थर तो उछालो यारो. So it is just about who says that you cannot punch a hole in the sky. All you need to do is throw a stone at it with intent. So it's about the intent. You start and then the universe and the forces will conspire in your favor. So Paulo Coelho has said this, but this was said more than 5,000 years ago in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita itself. So that's the reality. So ancient wisdom is being passed off as modern knowledge, but either ways it's knowledge. It's about if people can learn from it and imbibe it and then walk with it. That's what is important. Now, Chanchalapathi ji, let me ask you this. Like I said, you can have the body. The body is the structure, the methodology. you'll get the grains, you'll get the kitchen set up, you'll get the... But where does the soul come from? What brings that magic to the food that makes it so nourishing and so tasty? You have you have to share that.
The soul, if you ask me about the soul of this program, it is actually the dedicated team, like Mohan was mentioning. There is a dedicated team of about 150 volunteers, and we have about 6,000 employees in Akshaya Patra. And it is that feeling of, we must do this for children of our country. And Akshaya Patra has always, one other important factor I must acknowledge. We were talking about cosmic forces, forces in the universe will conspire. In the year 2000, we began Akshaya Patra, feeding in a small way, and went up to about 30,000 children. And the forces of the universe conspired. In the year 2003, 2004, because of a Supreme Court order, the government of India launched a cooked meal program nationally.
Yes.
And we were able to work with the government. It is because of this important change in the policy, the government began to help us, and we were able to scale up and go to many, many more places. And today, nearly 60%, 65% of the running cost of Akshaya Patra comes from the central and state governments. So you see how we made a little humble effort, and then big forces, government is mighty, and the mighty forces came to help us. The second thing that has always helped us, we always want to acknowledge, is our donors. Both individual donors giving big amounts of money according to their capacity, companies, foundations. And another interesting twist that came out in the next few years was the concept of a CSR policy in our country, which once again helped us to go forward, set up more kitchens. Companies started giving money to set up a kitchen. So all that we have been talking about looks like a lofty philosophical principle. The cosmic forces will help you when you try to work for the welfare of others. Akshaya Patra is a living demonstration of that. A few handful of volunteers were feeling very dedicated, feeling highly motivated by the instruction we received from our spiritual master, and we wanted to do this. And we felt that how can we ever do this? We were feeling helpless, but then all these different forces came together. And so it's really Akshaya Patra has been a demonstration of these cosmic forces coming to aid, to support, feed a child. And
True.
That's the greatest aspect of Akshaya Patra, I would think.
Well, with your kind consent, I'd like to take this on for another 10 minutes if you were, if everybody
please.
would agree. Because Madhu Pandit Dasaji, you said, no, when you said you had 30,000 people, and you said it came as a headline. And the first thought that came to my mind is, I remember seeing that headline. And we also discussed it at our workplace at that point in time, because I was in Bangalore, that I'm Bengaluru now. So the whole inference was, we were about 15-20 people talking. So all of us read the headline. Some of us read and moved past it. Some of us thought about it. But there were, out of these 22 who said, how can I help? And I just believe that if there would have been about 300,000 people or 3 million people who read that headline, there were 30 or 300 who said, how can we help? And that is what is consciousness. That is what is required. It was 1 grain of rice could satiate Lord Krishna. 30 people can achieve 30,000. So that is how it works. And there are always people who want to do good. There are always people who want to help. I want to ask you, Chanchalapathi ji, how many children are you able to feed today? And where would you like to go? And do you is Akshaya Patra largely functioning within India, or now have you decided that you want to go into the neighboring regions and across the world?
Yeah, currently, Anand, we are feeding about 18 lakh children in the country. We are in about 52 locations. We are in 13 states and 2 union territories. And we have about another 10 kitchens coming up in the pipeline in the next maybe 18 months. So we have been feeding, and now in the last 4 months, 3 months, unfortunately in the world there has been this pandemic, and the schools were closed because of the summer vacation. And the government invited us to involve in feeding people who are being displaced and in different situations who needed food in Delhi, in Mumbai, in Bangalore, Ahmedabad, in different parts of the country, Guwahati and other parts. So in the last about 7.2 crore meals, 72 million meals, we have served in different parts of the country in the last 4 months,
Wow.
4 months, as part of the COVID relief activities. And also we have been serving children in the schools. The government, because children are not coming to the school, the government is still providing rice, the grains, and in some states they're also providing additional thing like pulses. And we are reaching that to the school through the school system. What we have done lately is the government is giving just the rice and dal or the wheat and dal. So we made a box. We called it the happiness box. All other things that are needed to make a meal for a child for 30 days is there in this box. And it also has a few workbooks, because children are not coming to the school. We don't want them to miss out on education. We partnered with another NGO and prepared workbooks of different grades, and we put them into the box. And we told the we told the parents, you come to the school and pick up one box for your child. And we call this the happiness box, so that children are happy and they also get educated. And we told them the next month they should fill up the workbook, the child should fill up, and you come back and show us the filled up workbook, we'll give you another box, happiness box, for another month. So like this, we have been supporting with food and education also. In fact, Prabhupada's vision was this: every 5 to 10 mile radius, you must have a cooking center and a distribution center all over India. Imagine if we were such a big vision Prabhupada had, and we are hoping and praying that we will be instruments in fulfillment of this, and we are praying that the cosmic forces work together to fulfill this, so that there is no...
Krishna willing, Govinda willing, it'll happen. Surely
Yes.
it'll happen.
You know, another thing that we started about 2 years ago, in London, we started feeding. There was a county, there was one particular municipality where there were a lot of children and who needed food, and the Brent municipality invited us, and we had a small presence of an Akshaya Patra Foundation in London, and we have started. Now we are just setting up a kitchen which can feed about 10,000 meals a day, and it is supposed to be ready in the next 2 months or so for something known as, they call it the holiday hunger. So when the schools go on holiday, there is a kind of a phenomenon of social hunger situation. And in that Brent borough, we are likely to start feeding about 3,000 or 5,000 children. So we have an aspiration to feed people and children everywhere in the world.
That is fantastic. I remember going to Govinda restaurant in Germany back in 2006, if I remember correctly, and I was amazed. And the work that's being done is amazing. I've even come to the ISKCON facility in Bengaluru, and I've seen the work that goes on. Bishow Parajuli is saying would like India to support school meals across the region, with Akshaya Patra, just like USA is doing. That's what Bishow Parajuli is wanting to contribute here. Go ahead, Bishowji, and then I'll go to Madhu Panditji and Mohandas Pai for one final round of comments. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I have this aspirations in a way, joining hand with Akshaya Patra. There is a program, 2 senators in the US who have done a bill, Senator McGovern and Senator Dole, and they have started a school meals program. In fact, there are a couple of countries in the region who received those support, like Nepal, Laos, and Cambodia. I'm saying, why not India really promotes this? It's a heart-to-heart connection between people and nations, addressing the hunger, supporting education. India has a surplus food. It's in the neighborhood. India is already promoting a lot of these, cooperation across countries. And Akshaya Patra can be a great model to help do that. And then ultimately, of course, this country can take it over themselves. But I think there is so much to do and so much can be done. And I think we have great opportunity to expand this people-to-people relation and address hunger, address humanity, etc. Thank you.
True. And Mohandas Pai, you've got to echo this in the right corridors and ensure it falls in the right ears. You've got the responsibility to take this consciousness forward. I have to say, Mohandas Pai.
Yeah.
I was saying
India
that
is a
we can
natural
meet
leader.
together and reach out. Sorry?
India is a natural leader to the world. We are 17% of humanity, and we are a food surplus country. And we are a food surplus country. We are the largest arable land in the world, second largest irrigated land in the world. We can produce twice the amount of food that we produce today with the same amount of land if we are just more productive. So India is enough, and I think the government of India should should adopt a few countries which are very poor and send them the grain. And I would like to seek his help to make sure that we can train organizations like Akshaya Patra. The World Food Organization should talk to Government of India, especially talk to Prime Minister Modi, because he's a very compassionate leader. You see, let me also say one thing. People who are born poor, who have felt hunger, are the most compassionate because they felt hunger. Now here, I don't think any of us have felt hunger. We have never gone hungry. My mother told me a story one day that when she was very young, as a child,
I was hungry when I was a kid.
Yeah. Okay. My mother told me as a child that, there was a time when there was no food. They have not eaten for 2 or 3 days. And the father went out and worked somewhere and got 25 paise. And the 25 paise, the mother prepared some gruel and fed everybody. And she told me her younger sister used to look up with those wide, big eyes to her mother and ask for some food. And the mother used to cry because they had no food. So that is the generation that has grown up. So, M.G. Ramachandran in Tamil Nadu, when he became chief minister, one of the first thing he did was to midday meal program, because Chief Minister Kamraj had done it. He was poor. MGR did it because he was poor. And today, children in Tamil Nadu are 2 inches taller, 10 pounds heavier, infant mortality is down, maternal mortality is down, literacy is up, gross enrollment is up. It's a much better society today. So that is the impact that you can have. And I think India will do it as part of a soft power. India has a natural obligation and a moral responsibility to the rest of the world.
True. We should take this Akshaya Patra model and globalize it, and we should get more people like Madhu Pandit Dasa under his aegis, along with the government of India, saying we're not only going to give you food, we'll cook it for you, we'll make sure it is distributed. Let's just set up Akshaya Patra everywhere and set this kitchen. See, today is Janmashtami and new idea is now born. That is what's the power of Krishna, where he say Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Now let me ask you, Madhu Pandit Dasa, finally I'm coming back to you. Today, Janmashtami. This is a very different year for everyone because all the festivals are being celebrated in a very different manner. Across communities and across beliefs, all festivals have come and gone, and it's a very unique and a very different experience for the world. How do you see things evolving going forward from here? Because even now, in these points of lockdown, like we said, the challenges are more. You fed 7.2 crore meals in the last 5 months itself during the times of the pandemic. And this pandemic is not going away anywhere. but hunger will remain. And with hunger comes evil. With hunger comes anger. With hunger comes desperation. With hunger comes malnutrition. You know, this one aspect of the belly not being full or the belly being empty can trigger so many social evils. Is that consciousness going to come? Your thoughts, final thoughts as we conclude this interaction.
Saying that, you know, hunger creates all these negative, you know, emotions in the people and negative forces. And especially, and you also earlier mentioned about, you asked Chanchalapathi a very specific question about what is the soul of Akshaya Patra. I would like to answer one more thing. What is the soul of this food distributed by Akshaya Patra? The soul of this Akshaya Patra, the way we look at food, is with gratitude from God. See, this consciousness is very important. We distribute this with the consciousness that it belongs to God and we have to share. And food is, you know, something which is given by God. Therefore, we have to express our gratitude. That is the meaning of prasadam. You see, prasadam means mercy, gift. So it's a gift. Food is a gift to humanity. Humanity cannot survive without food. So when food is distributed in that particular mentality, you see, it's not like, you know, giving to the poor or anything like that. That's fine. But even a higher consciousness is that, you know, with gratitude you're sharing, which is meant to be shared with everybody. So that is the soul of the food that we cook. That, you know, the people who cook and everything and they distribute, they feel that this is a seva that's not only for human beings. It's a seva, you know, which pleases God. You know, I'd like to just request all the you know, the spectators to participate in this seva of feeding, making sure that nobody goes hungry. Let's have this ambition, a numberless ambition, go on and on and on and on. It start from your neighbor, go to your neighborhood, see who is hungry, feed them. Do some arrangement to feed them, or inform Akshaya Patra. We will come and feed them.
True, and absolutely. And I would just say it is very easy to just go, click on the donate number, and put a number to it, and then donate. And then so you can forget about it. My request is going to be, go ahead and first feed a few people. Join the Akshaya Patra kitchens, or perhaps work with them wherever they are doing voluntary service, and spend some time just feeding. Get that gratification of the soul, and then decide to contribute. Because then there is a certain meaning to it, and there will be a certain depth to it, and you would also, you know, cherish it a little more. So
How much can an organization like us do? Very limited. But what is important is, if our organization can inspire thousands and thousands of small candles, you know, it becomes so bright. And this is what we see. Our organization is not important. What is it? Feeding 1.8 million children is insignificant compared to the people who are hungry. But we can be a vehicle as an inspiration, a model.
correct. The Akshaya Patra provides food to everybody. The Patra may be one, but
Yes.
the medium, but the food is for many, and that is what it is. And we can all become representations of that Akshaya Patra and try and feed children. And you started from zero, and you have gone to 1.8 million. So from 1.8 million, you can go to 180 million, and from 180 million, you can go to 540 million. And that will happen only with more people coming together for the cause. Like I said,
Yes.
with the intent and with the consciousness that this is to ensure that nobody goes hungry. Bishow, Parajuli wanted to say something. Yes, Mr. Parajuli.
Thank you very much. I wanted to share maybe 2 or 3 messages. One is, I think, stressing on good nutrition for the children is really fundamental, because children are the future of any country. Without nutrition, the children's brain development retards, their future potential retards, and the nation's human development retards. So therefore, that's very important. The second point I want to stress is the women issues. I think we must not forget, you know, a special food need and nutritional need for women, because if the woman is expected and delivering, she needs a special nutrition. Somehow, certain part of the society also puts women to eat at the end. In spite of her needing more, sometimes she may not even get what is needed. So there is that special message we must spread, the need. Because if the mother doesn't have a good nutrition, the baby born will not have a healthy weight, and that cycle will continue. Therefore, until like 1,000 days, we call it, from the time of pregnancy until the 2 years of the child, they really need a special attention. There is a saying and the research that 80% of the mental development of the child takes place before 2 years of age. And the third point I want to say is we all need to contribute and can contribute and need to join hands. Yes, the government makes efforts and we need to contribute.
Yes.
Manpower, resources, voice, and these are all important contributions so that the society benefits, the humanity benefits, and we have one healthy humanity. Thank you.
True, very well said. And Mike, as I say thank you to everybody, and I say Hare Krishna to everyone, this is my request. The next time your mother and your the woman in the house wants to fill up your plate, just turn to her and say, first you please fill your belly, and then you fill my plate. If we can do that this Janmashtami, we'll be doing humanity a lot of service, along with the fact that we make sure a little bit of our commitment to that no one goes hungry. Chanchalapathi Dasa ji, Madhu Pandit Dasa ji, yes. Yes, Madhu.
This that Akshaya Patra is a global concept. The global concept for everybody to embrace. The unlimited food. The pot that gives unlimited food. Thank you, Anand.
Thank you so much. Mohandas,
Thank you very much.
Bishow ji, Chanchalapathi Dasa ji, Madhu Pandit Dasa ji. Thank you very much. And to all of us, a very, very happy Janmashtami, and thank you for watching and joining us.
Happy Janmashtami.
Thank you.
Thank you.